Alright, do-it-yourselfers, this is a 2001, 2002-ish Volkswagen Cabrio 2.0. Now, if you go to work on these things and change the starter, you can get it from above. This particular vehicle, I did change the starter on it on the side of the road, but I would like to go back through the steps on what I did, take it back off, and show you exactly what you need to do. If you come to the top of the hood, the first thing you're going to want to do is take this battery out. Once you take that battery out right there, you're going to come down through here. You're going to have a fastener here, 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 here. You're going to take all those out. It's going to be 10 millimeter. Then you're going to have to get yourself a hex bit socket. Take this one out right here. Move all this stuff out of the way. You might have to bend some of these wires loose right here. You can set it up here, strap it up with a little piece of wire long enough just to hold it up out of your way. And of course, you're going to want to have yourself some tools to work with. Now, if you want to check out some decent tools for the do-it-yourselfer, Teq Pro. This is exclusive to Advanced Auto and CarQuest stores. Craftsman right here. Basic wrenches. Then I got this Teq Pro hex bit socket set right here. Gives you everything you need to do the basic jobs. Some deep weld sockets by Gearwrench. There's some tool reviews for these in the description box below. Go check them out. Now, what we need for the hex is going to be a 5. Get this out of the way. That out of the way here. There's wires underneath this here. You're going to want to pull these out of this little plastic piece. Here's what the plastic piece looks like on the other side. They just kind of slide in there. It keeps them from falling out. Take yourself a little copper wire. Don't need to be nothing much. Zip ties, something like that. Strap this up out of the way. You can do the same thing to this right here. See right here, and then you got full access to what's going to be your starter. You look straight down and this is going to be your starter. You're going to have to move some of these wires out of the way. You're not really going to have to unplug any of this here because you can get to it where it's at. You do have a fastener on the top and on the bottom of this that you're going to need to get to, and you're going to start by unplugging these little wires right here, right here. Take this wiring harness off right here. You will have some different things around the fasteners. They basically hold and guide all of these wiring harnesses in place. As you can see, there's one right here. This slides right on it, kind of keeps this cable up out of the way. You can always do this from below if you want to, but right here is where your battery tray sits. So if you're doing this from below, it's still going to be just as aggravating to try to go up and under here and reach all of these fasteners. Now, you can do it, just whichever is easiest for you. Now we'll start with this one right here. All you got to do is take these, press them right here on the side, press them in, wiggle it a little bit, and it will come right off here. And you go down below, you do the exact same thing to this one right here. Get above and below, wiggle it, pulls right off there. To do that, try to go ahead and take this wiring harness off. If you can't get this nut off, don't worry about it. Go ahead and take the upper and the lower fasteners off, and then worry about pulling this off here. This is a 12 millimeter, and if you get down on it from overhead with a wrench, you'll be able to get plenty of torque on this. Just to push down and start getting it loosened up. Then afterwards, if you want to, you can put a socket on there, whichever's easiest for you. Ratchet, wrench, something like that. Then once you take that 12 millimeter fastener off here, you pull this wiring harness here off, and this wire right here off, just so you do not lose this. Go ahead and stick it right back on. Just leave it like that right there. Now, don't worry about pulling none of these wires off of this harness right here, because this is attached to what goes on this fastener back here. It's going to have two different fasteners, one bigger, one smaller. It's going to be the same way on the bottom. Now, if you crawl underneath it here, here's the vantage point that you're going to have. You can see the starter plain as day right here. Sometimes you might have a cover right here. You know, you take that splash guard off of there, and then you're going to have the two fasteners. The one is going to be right here. The other one's going to be directly overhead. Now, on this particular starter, whenever I originally got this thing on here on the side of the road, we wanted to make sure that it was going to start up, but unfortunately it was not our main problem. So for the time being, I just put this smaller fastener on here. There is a stud that goes all the way through here to the other side, and we're going to be installing that here today. But when you want to take this off here, you're going to have these attached to it, and it's going to have different fastener sizes on it. So you're going to have two different sizes. But we're going to go ahead and work to go ahead and take this one off here and get it loose. Now that this is loose, I pulled it out. Now, whenever you do this, you're going to have a long threaded rod all the way through here. You're going to take that outer fastener off. You're going to remove all these hoses in here. And then you're going to take the inner fastener off, and then the rod will pull out this direction. Now whenever you're getting ready to get to the top fastener, decide what you're going to do. Go from the top or the bottom. You can easily go from the bottom right through here, run your ratchet up through here, stick it in, get on that fastener and start taking them loose. Or you can get it overhead. If you do that, I suggest getting yourself a long flex head ratchet like this one with a 6-inch extension and a 13mm socket. You might not be able to see it on camera here, but then with the flex head ratchet, you got plenty of leverage. You can easily move the handle back out of the way. I got a wobble extension on this. That way I can get this fastener loose, get the outside fastener took off, and unmount this wiring harness. Now that it's loosened up, I can finish spinning it by hand. And then set it up here out of the way. Get our 16mm, which is going to be the size of the inside fastener. So we got our socket ready for that. We'll go ahead and pull this wiring harness off right here. As you can see, I pulled that harness off, and now right there you can see your fastener plain as day. In this situation, I just moved the wiring harness there out of the way. It's much easier to get on it like this right here with no extension at all, especially when you're working one-handed. But working one-handed proves you can definitely get this job done if you're a do-it-yourselfer who needs your starter changed. You just need the right tools to do it with. And I got plenty of tools right here on the channel that you can check out in the description box below. Now once that's done, you just continue to spin this out. And here you go. Now whenever you get that fastener off of there, you're ready to pull this starter off. You pull it straight out. And right here you go. Now the one thing you're going to want to do is match up your two different starters, your new one and your old one. Now this one's the one that originally come off of this Cabrio. It actually belongs on an older model Cabrio. As you can tell, this one has no shaft here. This one does have a shaft. This goes inside of what's called an armature bushing right there, mounted inside of the housing. So you want to make sure that you guide that in place and that the bushing is in good shape. It's not wallowed out and it's got a good bushing in it. All the holes line up, the top holes, the bottom holes, so you know exactly what you need to put back together. Everything else looks the same. If you ever have any questions, just make sure to verify the new and the old starter with your local parts store, because they can always take these numbers right here on the side of the motor. This is Bosch, BOA, so it is an original starter. VWAG, made in Germany, 6215. So this isn't that old actually. And I could almost guarantee putting this starter back on here, it would crank it right up. And it could be because this is how they make those parts. And a lot of what comes on the VWs are the Bosch brand. The alternators Bosch and several other things. So this one could probably work just fine. But they bought a new one and they want to go ahead and leave the new one on there, because they'll know for a fact 100% that it is new, that it is working, and I'm fine with that. This one's also made by Bosch. This is the 367. And when we put it on there, it does go inside of the armature bushing, and it will kick itself out and spin just enough to start the actual car. This one, I've already tried cranking it, and it does crank it a little bit faster and a little bit better than the old one. And when you got the right one and you get it on your car, make sure it's starting good. You take this one back for a core charge, or you can take it and have it rebuilt at a starter shop so you have one for backup. Now just to show you what the armature bushing looks like, you come in here and you look inside of the housing right here. Here's your housing. You can inspect and make sure that nothing is broken on the inside. You definitely don't want your bell housing to be broke. Try to inspect those teeth right there. But that little hole right there is what that armature bushing is. As you can see, the little ridges around it, that's the bushing that goes inside the hole. That's what you're going to be lining up when you put your new starter back in place. Exact same thing that you did when you pulled this off here. You're going to get it in here and get it good and lined up. You're going to want it to go inside of that bushing housing first, and then line it up with the bolt holes. Now once it's nice and lined up in place, you're going to want to slowly go under here and start your bottom threads, and then come work your way to the top threads. This one did not want to line up for whatever reason, so that's why we're redoing this one today. Sometimes these, when you take them loose, you might have to jack your engine up on certain models. This one should not be one of them, but I would prefer putting the original parts back in if at all possible. right here. It goes down through here, and then getting it to line up, and it should come outside of this housing back here. And for those of you who work underneath this thing and you want to have some more room, you can take this guard off right here. It's got 4 different fasteners, 17 millimeter. Got 2 of them right there. You got 1, 2 of them right here. Take those off, drop it out of the way, and it'll give you a little bit extra room under here. Now you got pretty well a good clear shot if you want to come straight up in here to get to this. The threads in here is all jammed up. It's not that the motor's out of line with it or anything like that. You can see back in there. Now, as you can see right there, we did run a tap over this, so we're going to try sticking it in with the tap. The threads was pretty boogered up. I mean, they were widened out, so the inside might be damaged a little bit too. If it is, we'll worry about that here in a minute. But here's what you should do first if you have problems like this, is run a tap over it, make sure it's the right size, and then try again. Okay, so what I have done thus far is rig us up a little bolt here so I can hook these lines up. And I run us a fastener through the back side. Then make sure to reinstall your guard right here. Put in, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna line it up and I'm gonna run it through the top side here. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. Now this is it's another reason I like these flex head wrenches, because you can get these things in multiple different positions, and this one's a pretty long arm on this thing, but you can flop it around there to make it work to your advantage in many different ways. Start unstrapping our wires to put our battery plate back down. Terminal cable's out of the way. You set this back down, put this wiring harness back in this slot. We'll get our 10 millimeter here. So aside from the bolt situation that we had on the very bottom right there, everything else should help you change your starter. And it shouldn't take you long at all. As long as you follow those simple steps, take everything apart, tie it all up out of your way, you have the right tools to do it with, you take those 2 fasteners out, plug everything back up, everything should run smoothly. If this video helped you out, please hit that like button, pop the clutch on that subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. Let me know in the description box down below if this helped and what you'd like to see more of. And all that was left to do is start it, which is exactly what we did here, so you know that the starter is working on this the way it was intended, so everything's good there. Now I just got a few more repairs to check out. If you want to see more how-to videos, do-it-yourself videos, things of that nature, make sure to pop the clutch on that subscribe button. Go follow on Instagram. I post deal alerts over there all the time. Either way, I want to thank you for watching, and I want to encourage you to go out here, grab yourself some tools, and start making repairs great again.